That's just on the side. So, I'm in bed with Davidi, and he says, tell me a story. So, a story came to my mind. A story about the Abta Rebbe, Abta Ruf. 2 weeks ago, I was in Israel. There was a few things came together. I went to Israel. Went all night tzaddikim. Came to the Abta Rebbe. Came to his grave. And there's a story about him that I shared with my son last night. One night, random night, not Rosh Chodesh, not fourth meal, like a Tuesday night. Tuesday night, there's no death anniversary, there's no nothing. He tells all the students to get together. Let's get together and let's sing and let's get together and have a meal. The students are like, they check the calendar, they BBM each other. Is their death anniversary? Death anniversary. They speak to their mentor. No death anniversary, no nothing. They don't understand. But Avraham Yeshua Eshel of Abta, the student of Rabbi Elimelech of Lizhensk, says to get together, they get together. They're soldiers, they get together. In the middle of the meal, he's talking and they're singing and they're dancing and they're happy. It wasn't Pisces, so they were happy. And the whole water signs in general, but especially Pisces. It's like an air month or a fire month. We tend to be less. Rose Leo, I'm Gemini. We tend to be less, not depressed, just a little less depressed. He says, you're probably all wondering why we got together on some random day for a meal. And they're like, yeah. Let me tell you a story. Many, many years ago, there was this very, very wealthy family. And the time of Pesach came, and the family decides to, they need a cup for Eliyahu. Eliyahu Navi, we drink 4 cups of wine on Pesach, but then at the end of the meal of the Seder on Pesach, we fill a 5th cup for Eliyahu Navi. So let's get a real, like a nice cup. And then they were wealthy, so he says, you know what, I'm going to spend a lot of money. I want to honor Elijah with this really special cup. You know, maybe like that, maybe one of these days we'll get to see him, maybe. They spend this money, they Shavua Tov. Shavua Tov. So they get this, we sang a lot of songs for Mayada and for you guys. For those of you in New Kabbalah, Esther and Binyamin just walked in. They had a baby Blana last week. He had some Blana challenges, and the Creator gives us miracles and wonders. So he gets the most gorgeous cup of Eliyahu. He spends a small fortune just for the cup of Eliyahu. It's the first story. This guy spends a fortune with Kos of Eliyahu. The rest of it, you don't really. The Abta Rebbe, on a random day, makes a party, and he tells the story that this couple come together and the husband spends a lot of money, a small fortune on the cup of Eliyahu. Years go by, their business starts going down, and they don't have any money. They're challenged every day to find something to eat, but they're still left with this cup of Eliyahu. And the husband's like, maybe we should sell it. Nah, yes, no. This constant negotiation with themselves. Should they sell it? Shouldn't they sell it? Should they sell it? Shouldn't they sell it? Finally, Pesach comes. And the husband's pleading with the wife to sell the cup so they could have something to eat. How could they come to the Seder and have nothing, absolutely nothing. They had nothing, not a penny. How could they have nothing? How could they come to the meal and only have the cup to show for it? No wine, no matzah, no fish, no meat, nothing. They have nothing but maybe just a little water and nothing. And the husband's like pleading with his wife, begging her to sell the cup. And she's no. She has certainty. He says, no, we bought this cup. This cup is going to bring us blessing. This cup is going to have Elijah come to us. This cup is everything for us. If you sell this, then we have nothing. So we'll have a meal, and maybe we'll have some food, and maybe we'll have this, and maybe you could take some money and invest it, but you lose our essence. This is our blessing. Don't sell it. And he's pleading, and she's no, and she's like this certain rock, and he's coming up with all kinds of excuses, coming with all kinds of reasons of why to sell it. And she won't budge. She won't budge. She has complete certainty. Finally, he tries to take it from the house and steal it and put it, and he's about to leave, and she's like, what do you have in the bag? It's like, what bag? It's like, underneath your coat you have a bag. He says, I don't know what you're talking about. He says, and he says, he tried pleading with her, he tried to steal it, to sell it, absolutely nothing. Okay. The day before Pesach comes, no money. He's knocking on the door. Some guy says, can I join with you for the meal? And the family's like, okay. The woman's like, no, we have nothing. He says, don't worry, here's some rubles. Get some food, get some this. Not a lot, but you can have enough for all of us. Husband comes home, he says, you see, we have nothing. We're going to come down and we're going to have nothing. And the wife says, we don't have nothing. Some guy gave us some money, he's going to join us. We have something. We have just enough wine to make the 4 cups. We have just enough matzah to eat for the seder. We have a little piece of fish and a little piece of chicken to have for the seder. It's not a lot, but it's enough. He says, oh my God. He says, okay. So they can't start without the guest, because the only reason they have the food is because the guests, they wait and they wait. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. It's 5 minutes before midnight. And the husband tells the wife, we have to eat the matzah before midnight. So they run through they drink the cup of wine, they eat a little piece of matzah. Suddenly there's a knock on the door. There. The person gave them the money. The moment the guy walks in, the husband falls asleep. He suddenly gets very tired. Falls asleep. The guy joins them. He's there with them. They finish. The rest of the family finishes the seder. They fill this cup of Elijah. They finish the seder. As they're about to leave, the guy comes to the wife. He says, because you didn't sell that cup, I'm Elijah, and I came to be with you. And he leaves. Years later, the husband dies. Goes up to heaven. And they look at his good stuff and they look at his bad stuff. They say, okay, the good overrides the evil, go to heaven. He's about to walk into heaven and Elijah blocks him. He says, over my dead body, there is no way Elijah doesn't die. So he says, there is no way. Those of you who didn't understand Elijah, he didn't die a physical death. He never dies. He's going to live forever, and he's going to, when the time of the final redemption, hopefully tonight, he's going to come and he says, he was going to sell my cup. He's not allowed into the Garden of Eden. Elijah speaks to the angels. He says, don't let him in. Elijah says, God, I don't care what he did. I'm not letting him in. And God says, dude. Elijah says, no. There's nothing I can do. To hell he can't go because he doesn't deserve hell, but he doesn't deserve heaven. They keep him right there, right by the gates. Imagine being by the gates of heaven. It's almost better to be in hell than to be in the gates, right by the gates of heaven. You're so close, but so far. Years go by, the wife dies. The wife dies, it gets judged in the court, and of course, Elijah's like, you're my friend. And he rolls the red carpet, and he's about to bring her in, and she asks, where's my husband? Elijah says, oh, him. Yeah, I'm not letting him in. And she tells Elijah, if he doesn't come in, I'm not going in. I loved him when I was in this world, and I'm going to love him, and I'm going to be with him until you let him in. And then the Abta Rebbe is now continuing the story. Those you just came, you'll pick up the next story. He says, and they didn't let them in, and they didn't let them in. And finally tonight, the angels let them in. And that's why I'm making the meal. Because the couple went in to the Garden of Eden. And when I read this story, it's one of those stories I was crying. On Friday I was reading stories, and once one story gets you to cry, you just keep on crying. This was in one of those second or third stories when I was really in the mood, and I was listening to music and reading, and the love that people have to each other. It's not just love. You feel you love your father, you love your son, you love your friends. Love. But if you really love someone, you could take them out of hell. You really love someone, you could bring them into heaven. You really love someone, you could create miracles. You really love someone, there's nothing, no barriers. Because this woman loved her husband, she brought him into the Garden of Eden. He didn't deserve to go in. Absolutely did not deserve. He lost complete certainty. He lost the certainty. He was willing for some rubles to give up his connection to Elijah the prophet. And while he was alive, Elijah the prophet walks into his house, and the Creator makes him fall asleep because he didn't have the merit to see Elijah. But his wife pulled him into the Garden of Eden. And that's what real love does. If we really love someone, we could pull them out of hell. And if we really love someone, we could bring him into the Garden of Eden. Amavil ben kodesh lecho, chatoteinu yimecho, enu vechazvenu, kochavim balayla, yom banach v'tzel tomer, yom amer ma shomer, וגם לילה קצה כעתה הבוא על חטאי אבוא תעבור יוק יעבור שורה בלילה בעונה ניחתי ניתן מנוחתי יגעתי והנחתי עצמי בכל לילה איבד יונדר על אישה מנהותיו ראשי מנהתיו ותותיו וסיסי לילה כנורא והיום השווה עדנה בידיום מננה שבערב יום לילה כי חייב שיהני אור החיים תהייני דלות תבצעני יום ועד לילה הדחק כהומר, חרנן טבח אומר, ליום יביא אומר, ללילה ללילה, חטאותינו ימי חוזרנו וחזרנו יהבך